Welcome to the Multifamily Investor Nation podcast. I'm your host, Whitney Elkins Hutton, the Director of Investor Education here at PassiveInvesting.com. And today we're joined by Wesley Yates.
Yes.
Wesley, thank you so much for being on today.
No, thank you for having me, Whitney. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Excellent, excellent. Well, before we dive into your property, 500 flats, that's a 248 unit building in Fort Worth, Texas. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into multifamily and where you're at today.
Yeah, a quick snippet. As you see behind me, I spent a little time in the Marine Corps, got out, was about to go work at Amazon and got saved by a beautiful woman that is now my wife that was in real estate. Started going to networking events, got really plugged in, got hooked. It's addicting when you just love this atmosphere, and started jumping into syndications. Stumbled upon that back in 2019, and kind of dabbled with one team, learned a little bit, another team learned a little bit, and then finally put together our own team to take on our own projects. And it was fun. We ramped up pretty quick. Our first 13 months of business, we took down 862 doors, and that was right at about a little over 70 million total.
Awesome. Well, let's dive into your project, 500 flats, 248 units in Fort Worth, Texas. And you closed this about a year ago, March 2021.
Yeah, it was right in that March, April timeframe. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, so tell us, how did you find the deal?
So I started a military background. We wanted to have some fun. I can't golf, I'm sorry. So we were like, all right, what's an event that we can do to really bring people together? We started skeet shooting events. So getting out there with guns. Well, I realized CBRE, two gentlemen from CBRE, they really like to do that. So they came out, and I had all my buddies, and they were all, all my Marine friends came out. We're all standing there with shotguns, and I'm just happened to talk to him. I'm like, hey, you got any deals for us? And I'm like, looking back now, I'm like, that was probably really intimidating. A whole bunch of Marines standing there with shotguns asking for a deal. So no wonder we got this one, right? But yeah, he's like, hey, I got a great one for you. I don't know if you can handle it. It's a bit bigger than what you have done. And it was, 248 units, and it was about a $30.6 million deal. And I was like, send it over. We'll take a look at it. And he sent it over Monday. We screened everything. We were out there touring it by Wednesday. And I had my offer to him on Friday. And the rest was just off to the races.
That's amazing. It's so different than what we've heard other people do. Right? You put together your own event and you brought people to you. That's amazing. And skeet shooting. Yes,
yep.
If you're standing there and you ask them, do you have a deal? And you have them at gunpoint.
Pretty much. Now, we didn't hold him up on gunpoint, but no.
I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, we had a good relationship with the brokers. But yeah, and that's what I would encourage anyone that's looking for good deals. Get in front of the brokers, because they are really the gatekeepers to the good deals. And that's what helped us a lot, especially with this one, was we had early access to it. So
so unique, other than just a regular meetup. You tapped into an event structure where people wanted to be there, right? That's awesome. Okay, so you picked it by the broker. You went and toured the property on a couple days later. Did you get to see every unit? Did you just walk part of the units? Tell us how that went.
Yeah, so my quick process of what I put together, it's all about time. And when you're not in front of your computer screening stuff, you better be looking at a property that at least meets all of your criteria. At least meets all your criteria. Yeah, I had to say that slow there. But so that's what we had done. We underwrite it. We look at our soft quotes on our finance, and we kind of get a quick snippet from our property manager, and then we bring a property manager and a contractor with us whenever we do those tours. And we aren't allowed to go to every door, prior to offer, prior to contract, but they usually will show us a few of the vacants. And I always make sure I ask, do you have a down unit? Do you have the worst of the worst? Because they'll usually show you the good stuff, but I want to see the bad stuff. I want to know what's wrong. And it's not a matter of if there's anything wrong, it's a matter of what is wrong, so that you can account for that in your capital stack and in your business plan. So when we're out there, it's a good sit down. I mean, I try to budget at least an hour of my time to to show up and ask the questions, sit down and interview the on-site management, talk to anyone else that's there, let your contractors walk around and get their own snippet, let my property manager that I trusted, ask his questions from his vantage point. And then it's kind of at that point, you're back to the computer, back to the business plan, taking everyone's feedback and updating your business plan to see, hey, where's the right offer for you?
Okay, so you got your LOI in. What did you present initially, and then what did you go under contract for? How did it change in that window?
Yeah, so this one was an off-market deal. So it was very much, I kind of did all my, verbal back and forth negotiating and just kind of say, hey, look, this is where I'm penciling in. And, how does that look? And, they kind of said, well, we've been talking really good. We're competing against another brokerage to try to win this one. So if you can hit this number, we got this deal. So I'll, type in that number real quick. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you got it. If that works for you, that works for me. Any other terms, ironed out the EMD and the when does it go hard and how much time do I have to close, and got all that ironed out. But so I did that so I didn't have to go back and forth so many times with LOIs, version 1, version 2, version 3. It was just basically down to the, verbal. And then once we put it in writing, it was pretty much good. The PSA is usually when we ironed out, we don't want to do this, but we'll do that. And that I think it took us about 3 weeks, which is the longest it's ever taken me to get a project under actual contract. So from LOI acceptance to PSA sign, it was about 3 weeks, and it took a while, but we still got it done.
Okay. So you have the LOI worked out. You beat out the other brokerage. What allowed you to beat out this other brokerage? Was it just
I think a lot of it was efficiency. A lot of it was the quickness to be able to move. I had a well-trained team, and it wasn't just all on me. I mean, I love syndication because it is a team sport, it is a team game, and you're only going to go as far and as fast as your team allows you to do, So we spent a lot of time on our acquisitions. We spent a lot of time on that phase right there and screening how many deals could we screen effectively and efficiently. So we had all of that stuff dialed in, and that's really what just allowed us to win this. Is we were, you sent it to me on Monday, my offer's out on Friday, and we were ready to go. Already had attorneys going back and forth. Now there was some traveling on the seller's part, and I think that led to some of that long. I think they went to like Europe or something for like a week, and I was like, oh, okay, so we're in a hurry here, but now you're on vacation, so you're not in a hurry no more. Okay, cool. So
all right,
you'll deal with that.
Okay, so you have a signed agreement. At what point in time did you start your due diligence, and how did that go?
So I arranged everything for day 3 of contract to be ready for due diligence. So once I kind of was like, okay, this is the last one, we worked everything out. It's just getting the contract signed. I've already got contractors on board, property management companies on board. I hire a third-party property management to do my lease audits and my finance audits. And I hire contractors, third-party contractors, not just the ones that are doing the CapEx, but others that are going to do your plumbing and scoping the plumbing, and then the roof inspection, the HVAC inspection, the foundation inspection, electrical, anything that's, every square inch of this property, we're going over it with a fine-tooth comb. We do show up and go door to door. For that project, I had 27 people on site. And we were all breaking it building by building. It took us 2.5 days to inspect every unit there, plus do the lease audit. So we were done with the bulk of our inspection in by day 6 of being under contract. So,
okay. Yeah. And how long did you have for the due diligence period? And
I believe
how long did you have to close?
Yeah. So what we did on that one is we did a 30-day inspection period, and then a 30-day basically closing period with an optional 30-day extension.
Okay.
So that's how we structured that one. And so that was enough time for us to get everything done. And that inspection period, I really try to front load that to the first week or two and try to get everybody there, because a lot of that, in your contracts, I think a lot of them are like, you got to notify 24 or 48 hours in advance of when you're going to be on site. So if you can try to just get with all your inspectors and all your, vendors to get them to say, hey, what window of time works best for everyone? And then just, tell your broker on the front end, hey, I'm going to be there these 3 days. And that way, they kind of know ahead of time and you're ready to go. So I try to know every project we've done. I try to find a good 3-window period of time that all of my inspectors, so that I can be there when they're there and inspecting everyone that's inspecting and kind of getting feedback on the spot. Because the entire time we're doing due diligence and getting feedback, I've got one of my members of my team shopping debt. That's all he's doing. All they're doing is shopping debt, looking for the best. And then I'm over there working with my analysts, delivering feedback to them going, hey, look, this is the true deficiency. Hey, this is the true occupancy. Hey, here's the latest and greatest on the T12 and rent roll. And hey, this is what we're finding on CapEx. And they're just sitting there updating the basically the business plan and the underwriting live. So that way, as soon as we leave that property and get all those bids, we're ready to start building out our PPMs and our subscription docs and our pitch decks and or offering memorandums and really hitting go on that raise as soon as we have an accurate picture of what we're getting our hands on.
Okay, so what did you find during due diligence? Were there any fun things?
This one actually wasn't that bad. I've had some where I found rotting dogs in bathtubs. But that's another, I've seen some nasty stuff. Okay. And I've been in some nasty stuff and I've seen 4 grown men run out of a room faster than they ran out of a gas chamber. And it's just some nasty things that you'll find on Class C apartments. But this one was just a few extra down units that hadn't been disclosed. So we had to go back and renegotiate a few things there. I don't like doing retrades. I really don't. However, if there's some things and some clear line items that just were not disclosed, I'll look at either a seller's credit, so we don't have to redo a lot of the paperwork, then a retrade. But yeah, so this one was actually fairly simple. There was a minor due diligence minor discoveries on the delinquency and minor discoveries on 1 or 2 extra down units that were disclosed to us, but it was actually overall it was one of the more smooth inspections that we've done.
So what did you go under contract for, right? And I know the broker said it was like 30.5 million, right?
Yeah, 30.6 is what we went under contract for.
Okay. And then what did you retrade for?
I think we only ended up with the down units and all that. I think we only took a $50,000 seller's credit. So it was very, like I said, it was very basic. There wasn't really anything that we wanted to end up, harping over, ruining a relationship over, but, and it's still, our numbers were still working there. So I think we ended up favoring, in our favor, even with that credit.
Okay. And what, on this particular property, you said it was a Class C, what was your overarching business plan here?
Yeah, so the business plan there was, the occupancy was actually staying above 90, but there was more delinquency. So it was going to be more of a management play. They'd already redone a lot of the property as far as the renovations and CapEx. So we were basically just going to pick up from where they left off on the interior renovations. And we looked at some minor aesthetics from the outside, needs some cleaning up on the landscaping, needs some exterior paint on a few of the buildings. But the main focus was, it was a management play. And we knew that we needed to have the right property management going in, and then the right asset management team that had the experience to really handle that, real hands-on with that project.
Okay. All right. So you closed this property about a year ago. Now, this is right at the beginning of when interest rates started to tick up. So talk to us about your lending. Like, how did you structure that? Who did you use? How did you structure it? Did your rate pop up during your due diligence time period? How did that all go down?
Yeah, so it did go up during the due diligence, but we had already accounted for that. We knew what was happening. I also own a commercial mortgage brokerage, so I had everyone like very closely fingers on the pulse of what's going on. So I wasn't underwriting the deal of what I was getting quoted. I was underwriting the deal based on what I felt I was going to close at. So I was already kind of building that buffer zone. And I encourage a lot of people, if you're going in with a bridge loan and you're going in to buy something that is, hey, it's going to take you, 60 to 90 days to close, ask the brokers what's going on. Are we still going up? Should I expect a higher rate quote than what you're quoting me here? But I would encourage a lot of people. That's where a lot of teams mess up. And I hear a lot of people losing deals because of that. They didn't account. So luckily we were account ahead. So we actually closed right at about what we were partnering with. The asset management team that we brought in was actually their money. So they already had a prior relationship with a broker. So we kind of, passed the baton over to them and let them handle all of that. And so I didn't have as much control on the actual final closing of that loan. But I was still updating the back end with my analyst on the team and saying, hey, look, does this still look good for your returns with the quote that guy's given you? And they were happy with it. So since then, the lending hasn't been necessarily the problem. I believe that they purchased a rate, was it rate cap lock or lock? Yeah, rate cap lock. And that, I'm telling you, if you're buying a floating rate and you don't buy that, you're going to be in a heap of trouble. You're really rolling the dice and taking a chance. And what that does is it basically locks in a buffer zone. For those that don't know what a rate cap lock is basically think of it as like an insurance on your interest rate. If you say, all right, I'm locked in at 6 and I'm buying a 2% rate cap lock, well, that means even if the interest rate goes up to, let's say 9, well, you're capped at that 8. That 2 plus the 6 is 8. So that insurance company, that rate cap company, will pay the difference in whatever that spread is. And looking at my properties, I've done one that didn't. I closed at a 6.6 interest rate. Now I'm paying 10.5% interest rate. Ouch. Yes. The ones that I've purchased a rate cap, they're still doing okay. Cash flow is getting a little bit of a hit, but we don't have to worry about making ends meet, paying our DSCR. And it's so much of a burden when that check comes in. You're like, oh, wow, $20,000. Sweet. That helps. So definitely would say that was a must if you're buying a floating rate. And I would suggest doing that, but yeah.
Okay, so it was a bridge debt, floating rate. What was the term? You capped the rate. What was the term of the interest only period? And then did you have any prepayment penalties or lockout periods on this?
Yeah, I didn't get into the weeds on the prepayment and the lockouts on that because they kind of finished it. They didn't need me to sign on it, so I let them do it. But for the most rates, I believe we were right at about a 5. This is at the very, very beginning of 2021 before rates really started. So bridge debt at 5 was really not that unheard of. And it was like a 20-something million dollar loan. So, I mean, it was a good sized loan. So it was easy debt to shop there. So that was a lot of that. I don't think there was any prepayment penalties that I could think of because it was a bridge, it was interest only through the entire time. So that was fine. We had a 2-year term and that was right at what the plan was, get all of our value add done in the first year and stabilize the second year to refinance, at the end of the second year and hold it for an additional 3. Typical structure. I think we've all kind of seen that one: 2-year on a bridge, 3-year on a term, and then sell after a 5-year total. That was pretty much the model.
And do you foresee any issues with being able to refinance at the end of 2 years?
Well, we're coming up at the end of that now, and the only thing that we're really struggling with is the recession is affecting the occupancy and the delinquency. So the only thing that really jeopardized was how fast we were able to hit our rate hikes, and the rent raises. You want to factor, okay, what can I get after I spend XYZ dollar amount? How much can I raise the rents across the board? So we've had to, luckily we were very conservative. I think we only factored a 2% increase in rent. So I think we're right there in that. A lot of other teams I've seen, as high as 5% on their year one. I've seen higher than that actually on year ones. But, luckily we were more conservative there. And I think that's really what's helped keep that deal from kind of going under and really having a lot of problems, and haven't had to worry about doing a capital call or anything like that on that project. But like I said, that asset management team has been handling a lot of that. And so I kind of just get the highlights and the summaries of what's going on. And I'm like, all right, well, let me know if you need anything. I'm always willing to jump in and, whatever. I live like 25 minutes from the apartment. So just let me know. I don't mind driving. So every time we drive by there and the kids are in the car, I'm like, hey, we own that one. So.
Awesome. Okay. So tell me how you structured this partnership between you and the asset management team.
Yeah. So with the co-sponsoring team, we worked out an agreement with, kind of by roles. for SEC compliance and all of that, everyone needed to be, active. That was going to be an actual sponsor or general partner on the deal. So we made sure that whoever had the actual ownership had a role in some form or fashion, whether it was in, the updates and the newsletters and the signing on the loan and being a sponsor in the deal, to overseeing the property management, to the who's overseeing the construction management. And we just kind of worked out that partnership. Just as like a rule of thumb guideline, I kind of break it down by kind of who's taking the lead on different aspects. And that's usually what I will do. There's a lot of ego in this industry, and a lot of people, when you're talking about what's my cut, can get greedy and other people's can get taken advantage of. So what I try to do is just put some rough guidelines to it. And I encourage a lot of people, just look it up, what's the industry average for this role versus that role of the GP team. And that's what we kind of use as our guideline to be able to break it down. And we've done that for all of our deals. And it's really helped get everyone if you're a GP, you have that call. And because a lot of people try to pull you behind doors and go, hey, I want an extra 5, I want an extra 10%. But I try to get everyone to be transparent, to be honest, so we all know what everybody wants, and we make our adjustments, and we all go, is everyone satisfied with this? Everyone goes around, and then that's when when you send it to your attorney for the operating agreement to actually sign that. That's not the time to sit there and waste your attorney's time, because he's going to charge you for that. So just get all that verbal on the front end, and that way everyone's happy and everyone agrees, and then you can get that behind you and actually get to work.
Okay. So, and how many, is it just you and the asset management team? Is it just kind of like a 50-50 or 60-40?
So it's our team. Like, we had a full team there, but we had a lot of our handfuls with some of our other projects we were taking on, and they requested, hey, it's our money, so we would like to be the lead on the asset management. So they had the majority there, so it favored, they were bringing the money and they were doing the asset management. So we kind of took, after we got through the acquisitions, the due diligence, and the inspection, we kind of passed the baton to them, and they kind of ran with it after closing. So
very cool.
That was nice. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, man, I should do more like that. Like, I don't have to do it. This is great. All I got to do is update investors, update reports, stay on top of the K1s and the taxes, and then, all right, this is nice.
Did you raise any capital for this deal?
That one I did not. We were in the middle of another deal at the same time we were doing that. So we were raising for another deal in Missouri. It was a 272 unit deal while this one was going down. So that was the beauty of that partnership. And I think they were doing it. Most of it was they had a tax bill that they had to kind of write off. So that's what this was for. So I think that one had a 76% year one bonus depreciation. And they were like, we need every bit of that. And we're like, okay, go right ahead. So
that's interesting on how you structure the partnership and how you were able to make the partnership split worthwhile to both parties, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where it is. I mean, syndication is great. JV is great, especially if you got, deep pockets. They're out there. I mean, there's depths of this money pool that it just sometimes can scare you how much money is actually out there. So when you get phone calls, they're like, hey, I need to place 20 million today. And I'm like, oh boy, that's a lot of money to place today. Other people's like, oh yeah, I can do that in an hour. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So, yeah, I mean, be open to that, because JV opportunities, and you don't have to worry about necessarily the SEC, and just focus on, your business plan. It's just one less thing to worry about. But yeah, I mean, if you can, make sure that I would just say this, always talk to your attorney to make sure how you're structuring it is within compliance. Make sure your operating agreement's there, your PPM is there, all of the legality docs are done appropriately. But other than that, it's pretty much, as long as you're in compliance, how comfortable is everyone kind of thinking outside the box?
Awesome. Well, wrapping up, was there something that you thought was going to be easy that actually ended up kind of being a little bit tougher than you thought? And was there something that you thought that was going to be hard in this deal that actually turned out to be easy?
The easy that was actually hard was, I thought the part that was going to be easy was just really negotiating with the other teams and all of that, because it was pretty much like right there. And it ended up being a lot harder because, you're dealing with big name, big entities. And that was the hard, because this person was, they're over here in this part of the world. Oh, they're closing on a $100 million deal, and your $30 million deal is on the back burner for them. And oh, these people over here, they're over in Europe. So that was the part that I thought was going to be easy, just working with everyone. Hey, we're all committed to this. Let's get it closed, and chasing all of the partners down to get that next decision, that next chapter, that next phase. That was actually more difficult than what I expected. Because this was the first time we were working with this co-sponsor. So it was a lot of learning curve with them. The hard part that actually ended up in the long term being easy was the actual raise. I think we were looking at anywhere, it's been a minute, so I know it was like a 10 million plus raise. I mean, it was a good size raise. And I was like, yeah, I don't know how I'm going to do that. I've never raised that much money in my life. Like, this is crazy. I mean, I remember going over, this is all happening. We got under contract, and we're right there at the end of Thanksgiving. And I'm just like at Thanksgiving break, trying to spend time with the family. And I'm just over there like, okay, who do I know that has 9 million? Who do I know that has 8 million? Who do I? And it was just one of those. I was at a Christmas party in December, and someone called me up and said, hey, do you know anyone that can place $10 million today? And I'm like, me, please, me. And he was like, oh, okay, well, can you go meet someone? And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's an hour from my house. I didn't care if it was 20 hours from my house. If they got the money, I would be there the next day. And I sat down and talked with the head guy over there, and it was a very humbling conversation. This man just talked like we were just two equal, and I mean, he made a lot of money, but respected what I had done. We drove right then over to the property and just kind of did kind of secret shopped it. Didn't go in any, bug anybody there. Just kind of drove around the parking lot and talked out my plan. And that was about it. After that, it was, all right, cool, we're committed. All right, cool, we got the money. All right, cool, if you can handle this, we got the rest. I was like, oh, wow, that was nice. Whew, about 1,000 pounds off my chest. So
happy holidays.
yes, really. Hey, we're gonna have a good Christmas. Yeah, I'm not gonna have to run away.
Awesome. Well, Wesley, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and insights with us here today. If people want to find out more about you, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, just reach out. I'm active on Facebook. I'm active on LinkedIn. I have a page that's public for anyone, because I keep hitting that max friend request. So Wesley D. Yates, D as in Delta. You can find me on Facebook, and then do the same on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect, happy to answer questions, and I will tell you all the things that I've messed up on for sure. So if I can just share my mess ups and prevent someone else from making the same mistake, then cool. I've paid it forward somehow.
Awesome. Well, again, Wesley, thank you so much for your time here today. And we look forward to hearing about future deals.
Absolutely.